Welcome to the Creative AI Show. What do we have this week, Bryon?
Hey Rosh, happy to be here. We're two creative guys talking AI. Happy to chat with you on this leftover snowy Monday. I don't know about on your side of the state there, but
Yeah.
we're pretty blanketed over here. I had a fun week with AI, namely with Grok. And, I appreciate you letting me know some of the recent capabilities of it. And, your some of your comments there last week kind of opened my eyes to, hey, maybe I could have some fun with this. And I'll tell you, it is the wild, wild west of AI right now.
It is.
Um,
You got to be
it's
careful.
you got to be careful, right? I mean, even YouTube wasn't even too happy with some of our videos, but that's all right. Sometimes we can walk the line a little bit. And then also, I've got a few practical uses, just ways that LLMs are starting to creep their way into my life in different directions that I wouldn't expect, and just having bigger projects that are happening, and being able to speak educated
Hmm.
from an educated point of view about this when it comes to dealing with contractors and different things like that. So
Sure.
excited to share with our audience just some practical uses.
Yeah.
What do you have going on today?
So we have some big releases that I want to get into, and I may talk about movie flow AI a little bit,
Hmm,
but I want to talk about Imagine Art 1.5 we compare to Nano Banana and some of the other
really?
releases that came out. So I'm going to kind of dig in actually to one new big AI video release that
Hmm.
came about actually just this morning. So
Oh,
I want to dig into
okay,
that. So I'll keep
good.
that a mystery until I go into my list.
Yes, well, it is the holiday season, so I'm sure all these engines will be delivering us gifts. One of the things that I've noticed, namely in Hailuo and Leonardo, is specific tools like Veo 3.1 are running like a Black Friday sale, and they apply it directly to the credits.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
like Veo 3.1 Fast, I believe on Leonardo right now is like 65% off on its credits.
Oh,
So, yeah, just a little kind of thing where it's or Black Friday. It doesn't necessarily mean buying stuff on Amazon or going to this Target at 3 in the morning. It could be for some of these online different tools that we're using.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's something to keep an eye out for. So all right, but really what I want to talk about is you opened my eyes last week with some of the comments and conversations that you had with Grok, and you know what, Grok, it and was like, what, this seems fun, and we've gotten a lot of comments on our videos of other people. We appreciate everyone who does, watch our YouTube stuff and makes the comments and say, hey, are you getting frustrated with the censorship in AI? And, last night actually I made a video and I had four different prompts that were so PG that I was frustrated that they weren't being generated properly by Hailuo. And I'm like, ooh, I miss Grok for this reason because I'm tired of getting all of these things that come back where it's like, this violates our community standards.
Oh,
So it turns out you can push Grok a little too far.
yeah. You can.
So what I made a video, I think I put it up on Monday of this week. I did, or Tuesday of this week, or sorry, Wednesday. And it was not safe for work video prompts.
Hmm.
So I had to write in the title. I warned people, you click on this video, you know what you're getting into. So, I didn't go in the pornographic direction or anything like that, but, one of them was a little on the risque side. But
Okay.
otherwise, I did things like a horror movie where it was like blood, guts, and gore. I did one where it was like a satanic ritual kind of thing.
Oh,
So you're
geez.
getting into like a darker direction on that
Yeah.
one. And then one was like a post-apocalyptic war-torn scene where the guy was looking pretty gruff and blood and all that kind of stuff. And the hyper realism of the photos were great. But Rosh, and I'm sure you know this because you've been using it. My eyes were kind of open this week about Grok's video capabilities. It's not
Hmm.
something that we've really talked about, and it's gone under the radar
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
bit. I mean, I know you've mentioned it in the past, but so just to let our audience know what's going on right now with Grok is, first of all, it defaults to vertical, so the 9:16
Right.
aspect ratio. But you can get horizontal or square. You just have to ask.
Yep.
But so if you ask for any type of image, what it's actually going to do is it's going to give you a video of that image as the first one,
Hmm.
and then you get a ton of images under it, and it's
Yeah.
just like
It's kind of
Leonardo's
innovative,
flow,
quite honestly. Just
very
the way they go
innovative.
about it. I mean, it's
Yeah, I
similar.
was
There are similar kinds of things,
right.
but this is has its own unique little twist.
Right, and it was very fun, very intuitive. And what was cool is the further you scroll down, the more it just keeps generating images based on your image
Yep.
prompt. And every single one of them in the bottom right corner gives you a little play button. And you're like,
Yeah.
what is that play button? You click it, and it then gets you into a video editing screen with that image, and it automatically starts making a video as though you put in the prompt bring to life, which is,
Yeah.
one of our prompts for years.
Yeah.
It just assumes I'm going to take the context of this image and bring it to life.
Yeah.
But you then have a prompt bar to where you can modify it,
Hmm.
and it's really good at it. Like one of my satanic ritual ones, there was this altar in the middle, and there were a bunch of people in like, kind of monk robes around the outside of this altar. And I said, have them circle around this altar in a clockwise motion while
Hmm.
chanting. And instead of, the default prompt of them kind of going towards the altar, it understood perfectly. They're circling. The shadows from the fire that was in this like scene were perfect. So it was a really, really intuitive way to make these videos. And, the resolution, middle of the road, I'd
Yeah.
put it. We're not talking full on 4K or, the 1080 that we're getting from some of them.
Well, you're thinking more that it's, designed, it's from on the X platform and it's more designed for social. So if you can
Exactly.
create great social with it, then they've succeeded.
Exactly. And that's the resolution that we're looking for. People looking at it on their phones. It doesn't have to blow you away. But most importantly, Rosh, I double checked. I don't pay a penny for Grok.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
No.
pay I don't pay anything for it. And I'm getting images and videos that are downloadable. I mean, granted, we do have a tiny little Grok watermark in the bottom,
Hmm.
right corner.
Right.
Not the end of the world. It's not like the big Sora 2 one that's like halfway through the middle of the screen. And
Or
just for
Pika
the
flickering all over.
innovation. Yeah,
Yeah.
the guardrails being off, how quickly it produces these things. And, I was playing for a little bit and, got maybe 10 different videos, maybe even like 15 videos. And I didn't get any sort of you're shut off for the day, you're at your credit limit. So, maybe if you're working on a project and you keep getting community standard type issues or you're running out of credits, maybe pop over to Grok and see what it can do for you.
Yeah, because they are tightening up on ChatGPT as well as Sora in terms of that, how much, I guess, leeway or that you have with those. I mean, they're
Hmm.
just tightening the screws a little bit. They've been talking more and more about that because I'm sure it's getting expensive. So I guess Elon
Uh,
has a little more deeper pockets, I guess. I don't know. So you
as
get a
we're
little more
aware,
with it.
yes. But that's given him a competitive advantage in this space right now, so it's pretty good. I've actually used it to write some prompts for me instead of Claude, just because I want to keep it fresh with
Yeah,
the
you got to keep
LLMs.
trying different things.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not as fluffy. It's direct, it's to the point, it's a bit uncensored, a bit more raw, and maybe
Yes.
sometimes that's what these prompts need.
Sure. Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, cool. Anything else on Grok? Otherwise, I want to talk about your new releases
Yeah,
there. What do you have going?
let's talk new releases. So,
Great.
one on the LLM front, we have Claude Opus
Mhm.
4.5 was released, and it's really good. There are some limits, in terms of how much you can use it, even if you have a paid plan. But for what you can use it for, the level of work that it does, it's really really good. It's a strong. It really did match up well with ChatGPT 5.1 as well as Gemini 3.
Okay.
They up their game too, and even ahead, I would say in some areas. So and plus, it's a really good writing platform and a creative platform. So to have something that's solid, it did take me into some areas that I thought were really good and eye-opening. So as you know, I like to test it out with different projects to see, okay, is it
Mhm.
taking me a step further? And this did. So I was really not, really pretty darn happy. But
What? Just a quick question before you move on. How
yeah.
does Opus compare to Sonnet? Because I know I use Sonnet 4.5, and it's
Yeah,
really good for
and
writing and
Sonnet's
creative.
really good with your writing and everything and everyday uses, and so that's great. This
Mhm.
is more. It really is designed as a professional upgrade, for professional work,
Okay.
engineering, math, coding kind of stuff. So that's, but Sonnet's going to be. They're all such good platforms these days, and Claude's been solid for so long. So,
Right.
but moving on, we also had Flux 2 come out,
Hmm.
which is a lot of fun. They have a number of different LoRa versions available. Now, if you're not familiar with LoRa, LoRa is basically low rank adoption is what that's representing, and that it's just what we've been talking about in the beginning with. Yes, we have these big LLMs, but we're going to have to focus in on different AIs with specific tasks. And so they
Hmm.
launched a whole bunch of, editing type, certain types of Flux 2 for certain projects. I mean, there's a whole list of them. And so it's worth, even if you go over to Fall AI, just to check out and see that whole list of different, very specific tasks. And Flux 2 is really a solid platform. But I would say it's certainly in the top five overall, depending on what it is you want. But Nano Banana still the strongest. Although I will talk about the next segment, one that's really challenging it
Yeah.
solidly, and it's a lot less expensive. So that's worth
So
it. But
is Flux 2.0, is it just image or does it do in any video or
yeah,
anything
down
yet?
this just image, just
Okay.
image.
All right. Very
But
good.
on the video front, we have a big release today. Kling O1 was released this morning, and it's a brand new model. And
Ooh.
there's some nice elements to it, and I'm going to talk about what I liked and don't like about it. But they really have. I've actually used video to video for the first time with it. I rarely use video to video, like taking a video
Huh.
and putting in an
Yeah.
editor or
Well, Aleph, Runway Aleph is good with that.
yeah, I mean they're
Yeah.
they're really good with those things, and but I rarely do it. But this was
Right.
a nice, it had a good feel to it that it worked well with that kind of approach. Maybe it's because some people who were doing it kind of put that bug in my ear to try it. So
Yeah.
maybe that's part of it. Maybe I was influenced by that. But there are some good elements to it. It's a better Kling video output, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I
So
pulled up Kling while you're talking about it. I'm watching the little demo video right
yeah,
now. I'm super excited
yeah,
because so I've been waiting for the next big Kling update for a minute now.
yeah.
2.5 came out turbo and it's good, but it's not quite to where some of these other ones are. Even Rev has stepped up and become a
Well, we
big.
may still be having that conversation. So,
Ah,
what do you
okay.
have
All right.
next?
All right, I am excited. All right, very good. It's the LLMs and just AI in general. I find that it's creeping its way into my do-it-yourselfer kind of mode in
Mhm.
life more and more and more. And this is just kind of a practical application of it. But so right now, my mom and stepdad live across the street, and they're
Mhm.
in the middle of an addition happening. And as an addition happens, and there's a lot of different details that are going on, and there's a contractor, there's an architect, there's all these different factors involved. That sometimes there's miscommunications that are happening,
Sure.
and just trying to be the peacemaker that I am because I connected the contractor with my parents. Oftentimes I'll go to something like GPT 5.1 or Gemini to give a little higher level of explanation and say, hey, explain this to my 70-year-old parents here in a way that they're going to understand that,
Mm.
it is justified that this extra 3 grand that popped up for architectural drawings that was needed, to get the permits done, that, that is a justified expense in this situation to where that wasn't explained. So, just using these tools to take what are complex and maybe frustrating situations for members of our family or anything like that, and having it explain things in a way that is going to make sense to them has been extremely beneficial. And I'm going to have my own project coming up here in the spring and summer, and I'm now using this to kind of be prepped and ready for all the things that are going to come my way. And so I've found that more and more, especially with the holiday. I talked about that last week with holiday shopping, and even my 4-year-old son referencing over and over again, hey, how about we ask GPT
Yeah.
about this or that, because it's just becoming part of life that we've got this little pocket friend that helps. And I do the video things a lot where I interact and have it look with the video on my ChatGPT app on my phone, and it's just. I can't believe how in already a couple years now it's become this much a part of our lives.
Oh,
What are
yeah.
some of the ways that it's sneaking in for you that you not
Well,
haven't
even
realized?
just over the weekend, I recently had, the annual doctor visit and got all the blood work, and there was some stuff that was a little off. So it's, let's have a heart to heart here, and
Ah,
really kind of, you know, what do I need to do to improve these numbers? And
no
just
more
going back
king
and forth.
cut steak. You got to switch back to that queen cut steak
I
there,
know
Rosh.
it's
No
gosh.
32 ounces.
Yeah, I know. It's it's killing me. No, but the point being is that yeah, they're I mean, even to the point that okay, we've gone through all this and asking me questions such as, and I think this was Claude over the weekend who
Okay.
was like, okay, now be honest. be very honest. What do you eat all week? And give me the list and go through it. And I did. And I did. And so, okay, great. This is strong. This is over here. This is what you're going to have to do. Look at your lunches. How are you doing your lunches? Things like that. And, now, do you want another, plan or develop? So it's really a nice interactive approach
Yeah.
now that these LLMs are doing. And for just about everything, as we've talked about fixing things, whether it's a washer or a dishwasher or just things that are breaking or identifying things, just everyday life that you can
Right.
it just gives you another way. It gives you options, and that you can think through and you can ask questions back and forth without maybe being embarrassed or thinking, well, I would ask my doctor, but that sounds like a dumb question, or
Right.
an obvious question. You may just hold back. Where when you have an LLM, you can just double check and get it straight up.
Right. And one of the things I've noticed, especially with these newer models that have come out, is its constant ability to ask the right follow-up questions at the
Yes,
end of its answer.
right.
It keeps the conversation going, and it's training us as users how to keep the conversation
That's a
going.
good point.
And like I especially noticed it with Grok, where every single thing I put in, there were three or four, and it was pre-clickable links that I
Yeah.
could click to define something in this way, or do I go down the rabbit hole in this direction?
Right.
So, we're actually getting trained by these LLMs how to use them to their maximum ability.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Again, with Grok, double check everything.
Everything. No, Grok will flat out lie to you. I definitely got that same
Yeah.
experience where
Yeah.
it gave me like a .img link or something like that,
Right.
and it turned into a 404 not found, or it went to the
Yeah.
homepage. I was like, "What is this?" And it's
Yeah.
like, "Ah, my bad, you got me."
You got me. You almost died. Too bad.
I thought I snuck one by you there.
So,
Oh my. All
so,
right. Well, we're excited to throw back your way to bring us on home. You've got some
yeah. Got a few
art
things here.
generators. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to dig into. I want to mention Movie Flow AI, which was released
Hmm.
last, I think, May. And I think they had an upgrade, and that's why I did a video. I'm trying to remember why I did the video, but I ran across my feed somewhere and said, I got to dig into that because what you can do with one prompt, create an entire 2, 3, 4, 6 minute or longer movie. Just
Wow.
boom,
Yeah.
done. And it's horrible. It's a horrible movie. It,
I
it,
imagine
it
so.
the subjects change. There's morphing. It's everything that we, complained about, early days. But
Right.
it's over minutes, minutes. And there's conversation and there's everything. Physics issues, like I said, but it really does open your eyes to what's coming because we know that that is headed our way just fine.
Right. Yeah.
So, so that was worth sharing. Um, but two things I want to talk about now is really image art and Kling one. And image art is a really inexpensive model. They're one of those places like Hailuo that have uh,
Engines. Yeah.
multiple AIs within their system, but they also have their own.
Hmm.
And so they upgraded to 1.5 and it was really good. And it was solid, solid, solid against Nano Banana up until the point we really started the super hard prompts.
Okay.
And we have that list of super hard prompts, the clock on the wall and the orange juice to the top, among other things. But let me tell you, it was for everyday kind of stuff. Now, obviously, I put Flex 2 in there in that mix, testing that out this week. And look, they're all really good, and many of them you can use for free at some level,
Yeah.
as we've discovered. But if you're pulling in APIs or want something to pull in, that for a project of your own, and well, now you're thinking price. And for example, Nano Banana for a 1 megapixel image is 15 cents. That doesn't sound like a lot. If you want more megapixels, it's going to cost you more. Well, for a 2 megapixel image with image art, it's 3 cents. Now, if you
Oh,
think of
nice.
that on scale, that's a big
Yeah.
difference. Big
Right.
difference. And you're getting really high quality stuff. So, I want to give a shout out to them. No, when we start putting in the really tough prompts, it starts to break, and we got to see where it started to break. But I was still impressed. Kling '01. I'm kind of sad, although I'm excited. It does it's a better Kling model. So
Hmm.
if you're looking for something better than 2.5 turbo, you got it. And it does have a lot more features, but there is
Right.
one thing missing: voice. Still no voice. Now
Still
it
no
may be
voice.
coming, still may be
All right.
coming, but even Turbo had some background and noise, if somebody's walking
Right.
or clack clack clack, but none of that. No city background. So I have a feeling it's coming. It's they're working on that, and I'm sure it will be here. It does do a better job, but not that much of a better job. It does have better detail in the background.
Okay.
I did some direct comparisons this morning to turbo imagery in videos and what this new version '01 does. And yes, the details are a lot better.
Hmm.
And but even there, we had a really hard prompt that we tested a number of AIs not that long ago. It was the anti-gravity video, and there was like today's specials on a chalkboard, and '01 just totally destroyed it. It was, I mean, and I mean that in a negative way. It wasn't even readable. It wasn't even
Oh,
words. It was
okay.
so text did not happen well.
Wow.
So there are some downsides to it, that I think yes, better for Kling, but to your point earlier, is it really catching up with the other models? And I
Right.
think we're
Well,
kind of having another Pika moment. I
I
think
but
that
I
the the need to catch up with these models that are really moving fast, the VO3s, VO3 and Sora and so forth. They're such good models. The pressure's there. I mean, even in our conversations, we kind of have the pressure. Where's Pika?
right.
When's Kling's update? And then they give it to us and like, okay, well, maybe you guys should have waited another few weeks.
Yeah, I think we're learning suspend our excitement just a little bit on each one of these updates.
Yeah.
Like it's they're trying to carve away the full sculpture here, and you're just getting, piece by piece. Now, one of the things I'm noticing, because I've pulled up this Kling Omni while you're chatting about
Yeah.
it, is I think it's taking a step in the way that ChatGPT went from having a ton of different types of chat GPT
Yeah.
to I'm going to decide for you the best direction to go. Where
Sure.
this one pretty much is like you can upload images, videos,
Yeah.
elements, references,
Right.
modify video, restyle video,
Multimodal
generate
is
next
where they
shot.
went with it.
Multimodal. Yeah, they went
Yeah.
omni, they
Right.
went multimodal. And I think that's their angle on this
Yes.
is let's change how they go about it. Maybe the engine is 5 or 10% better than it was before, but let's change the UI, user interface of how they're using this to create their art. And so I'm excited to play with it. I'm
Yeah,
sure we'll have
that's
a
a
few
that's a
videos up
fair
this week.
observation, and that is exactly what they want to do. And so yeah, what that again back to the whole idea of me. So what I did was I had a scene that I had created earlier in Kling, but then I kind of added a pre-element, meaning before we get into this video, add a
Yeah,
a conversation that this person walking down the street was having before then they goes into the video that we had created. So it's kind of you can create, you know, elements
that's cool.
before and after the initial video, and that's good stuff. I mean, they really have added some nice features, but again, we know what we're comparing it against, and maybe sometimes that's unfair. But if they're going to compete and still be one of the top ones,
Yeah.
which they are, I haven't given up on Kling. I think
Oh
Pika
yeah.
had the biggest breakdown.
Right.
This isn't a Pika level breakdown, but, expectation wise, it is some areas are of disappointment.
Well, I'm excited to be both let down and picked up by using
Yeah.
it this week. So, but yeah, I'm sure we'll have some follow-ups there. If you guys are listening to the podcast here on any of the standard listening platforms, please head on over to YouTube. Give us a follow on the Creative AI Show on YouTube. We're putting up videos every day and chatting about good stuff like this. And I'm sure we'll have a bunch up on Kling '01 this week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Probably tomorrow for Tuesday.
Yeah,
So, hey,
agreed.
you've been listening to two creative guys talking AI.
We'll talk to you next week. Thank you. All right. Very good, my friend.
Yep.
All right. Well, go travel safely.